Welcome back to the next episode of the More Life podcast, and today we've got the one and only Sean Clancy Jr. So today, bro, we're going to get into your life and understand why you're so violent, bro. But no, we were talking obviously about your fight at the weekend. Congratulations, you fucking strangled a cunt inside a minute. I actually was annoying to watch how easily you won. But yeah, what's the kind of post-match feels a few days after?
Post-match feels? Good question. Most of the time I'm literally just spent eating as much food as I possibly can. So spending a lot of my time just absolutely stuffed around feeling like I fall asleep, to be honest. But other than that, ecstatic, to be honest. I feel really good about it. I feel better the longer I leave it, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
Because I can sit back and reflect and realise that like the person that I beat was actually the highest calibre of competition I've fought to date, and it was probably the fastest win I've got as well. So putting them together, it's making me very happy. It was one of those. It was hard to truly enjoy the win straight away because obviously you're not sure if you're going to fight another guy straight away or anything like that. So this has probably been the first time where I've actually been able to enjoy the win more as times went on, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, 100%. Because that we were just speaking before we came in. When you weigh in for like 77 kilo, you go all the way back up to what weight?
So I woke up about, I think I was just under 85 or something like that.
Because what weight did you go into fight camp though? Fight week, sorry.
Or fight week.
Yeah,
fight week I was, so I think the Sunday before my fight I was 85 kilograms. So I do my work with Boxing Science Nutrition. That guy's a genius. Lee Rickards, he's very, very, very good.
What is it, nutrition? He does, obviously.
Nutrition he does, yeah. So him specifically, it's like a kind of branch of stuff that they, like him and his friends do and stuff like that. But he's very, very, very good. So I think I went in on the Sunday before the fight, I was 85 kilos. By the Thursday, I was 80 kilograms or something like that. So I'd lost 5 kilos from the Sunday to the Thursday. And then you just literally just cut the rest in water. So you just, I think we done a bath and then done a sauna kind of blanket thing.
Yep.
That was me done. I make the weight so easy.
Well, how long are you in the bath for?
So I was literally in the bath for 20, not even, I was in the bath for 10 minutes, just over 10 minutes. And
just like hot bath, really hot fucking hot bath.
So there's an ideal temperature, because see if you go any like higher, let's say higher than 39 degrees or something like that, I think 39 degrees is okay. But like say it's like 40 degrees or something like that, that's too hot. Like you're going to end up overheating yourself.
Yeah.
And like it'll be more detrimental than anything, if you know what I mean. But there's an ideal temperature. Like you basically just anything over what your internal core body temperature is, you'll start sweating. So he's got a thermometer and stuff like that. Mate, he sorts everything, bro. So he took the stress away for weight cutting completely. All I had to do was just, yes, sir. No, like just fucking do what he told me to do, to be honest.
Because I saw you eating a full tub of ice cream.
Yeah.
Thursday night.
Yeah, because I cut weight rapid. Like it just falls off me quick. Like he even says that himself. He was like, there's not many people I've seen that can eat more than you and just drop weight. I'm just lucky in that way, to be honest. So we woke up and the Cage Warrior scales were a wee bit like lighter than we thought. So it gave us a wee bit of leeway.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, I'm only going to gain as much weight as that tub of ice cream weighs, if you know what I mean. Like it's not like I'm drinking any water, so I'm not going to gain any extra water weight or anything like that. If that tub of ice cream weighs 450 grams or whatever, I'm only gaining maximum 450 grams. Yep. You know what I mean? And as far as like the benefits of like the energy I'm going to get and stuff like that, it's worth it.
Yeah. I mean?
And I'm not going to gain as much as 450 grams. Like some of it's going to come out as well, just in like whatever.
Do you know what I mean? So was that the night before the fight?
It was the night before the weigh-ins. So
for the weigh-ins?
Before the weigh-ins.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you still weighed in at 77?
Still weighed in at bang on the money. So you're like on their scales, I weighed 171 pounds, which is the very tip of what you can weigh.
Yeah. And then the next day you woke up for the fight 8 kilos more.
About that, yeah.
What the fuck?
15, 16 pounds heavier, yeah.
See, when you dropped the 5 kilos from the Sunday to the Thursday, do you not feel fucked?
From the Sunday to the everyone does. You feel fucked. Like I walk up the stairs and then I'm like, I actually feel out of breath just walking up the stairs. Do you know what I mean? Like so, I'm still on a lot of calories and stuff like that. Like we've done my wee brother Stephen Clancy. Like he's a very good prospect as well. We figured out I eat more than him. He eats every day. The Thursday before I weigh in. So the Thursday before I weigh in, I'm still on more calories than he is just on day-to-day life.
That's mad.
But the difference is I swap my carbohydrates and my fats. So I'll drop my carbs, up my fats and stuff like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's
And I'll
fucking
take away the
mental.
glycogen at my muscles and blah 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 blah.
Would you, again, just I don't know if it's a question for you or your coach that does the nutrition, would you not be better like gradually getting down the weight so you don't
So
need to cut that?
I do.
But do you not do Sunday to Thursday 5 kilo off?
So I basically like I'll drop. So say for instance I walk about 89 kilos or something like that. So I'll lose as much fat. So I'll lose like say 4 kilo, 5 kilo in fat, and then the rest of it I'll lose quickly, so as that I can also gain it back quickly. Do you know what I mean? So so I'm basically dehydrating myself. I'm taking the water out my muscles and stuff like that, so that I can put it back in rapidly.
Right, so that's what you're losing. It's not actually weight.
It's not fat or anything like that. Right. So say if I was to lose fat, I'm not going to gain an extra 6 kilo of fat in one night. It's all water and like glycogen storages and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? The reason I do that is so that I can weigh in. I only need to weigh 77 kilos for as short a period of time as possible.
Yeah.
And then I can just pop straight back
up.
Yeah. So by the time I walk into the fight, I'm like 8 to 10 kilos heavier. Like it's such an advantage.
So you're timing the weigh-in weight with the time of the weigh-in, obviously. But is it like to the fucking point? So that morning you've got, say, 3 kilos to lose. Yeah. You're losing it just before you have to weigh in. Yeah, so sometimes I'll like, it depends on how much weight I'll have to lose. So sometimes I'll do it the night before, and then I'll do a wee bit the morning of and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So sometimes I can split it. This time I didn't have much weight to lose, so I just done it on the morning, so as I had a good night's sleep. Like, see if you're trying to cut weight at night and then you've got the rest of the night to try and sleep, and you're just sat there dehydrated, no food in you. Yeah. You can't sleep at all. It's brutal. So we actually got a good night's sleep, had a full tub of ice cream, and then cut the rest of the weight in the morning, and then I was only on weight for like an hour. Do you know what I mean? So maximum like an hour, and then you start drinking. He was giving me all my stuff and stuff like that, like just kept me right and stuff. Yeah, you know what I mean? So by the end of that night, I'd probably gained all my weight back, to be honest, because again, I don't cut a ridiculous amount of weight. Like, obviously, like people hearing that for the first time, you're like, that's hundreds of weight. Yeah. I know people that are gaining back, like one of my teammates, Keir Harvey, he gained back more weight than me. Do you know what I mean? For his fight, and he's like way smaller than me. Do you know what I mean? So I don't cut much weight. I'm not as big as people think I am. Yeah, they are. I'm big. I'm a big boy. I'm a big boy. I do get pretty big. For the fight, I was probably weighing in about like 86 or something like that by the time I fought. So I'd gained back a reasonable amount of weight. But you get people that are like Paul Craig, like walks back in 30 pounds heavier or something like that. So he weighs in at 84, and then sometimes like one of his fights was like 97 or something like that. He's a big boy. That's mad. You know what I mean? Well, obviously we're talking about the Sean now that's fucking mauling cunts within a minute. When did you start fighting, bro? Like, what is the story?
I had my first fight at 15.
You started fighting before that.
I started fighting much before that, so that's what I was going to say. So I had my first fight at 15, but to get to that point, my dad had me training forever. So I asked my dad when I started training, and he said like 2. Do you know what I mean? So I actually don't know when I started training. It's not something I could tell you. Like, I can't remember when my first training session was, if you know what I mean.
What's the last one you can remember? How young?
The first one I can remember, I actually do have that. The last one I can remember, I was in like a flat in Barhead. Can't even remember what age I was, mate. Genuinely.
Roughly.
Below
10?
When did Bring Me to Life by Evanescence come out?
Oh, fuck knows, mate.
A while ago, but I remember that was playing, so it couldn't have been any earlier than that. I remember that was playing though. Me and my dad and Logan were doing a training session in the living room, and he'd put that on. I remember that. Sub
10 years old?
Oh, easily.
All right, before 10 then. Okay.
Way before 10. I think it was like 4 or something. I think that's probably my earliest one. My dad always had me grappling and stuff like that with Logan. I've literally always done stuff. There's like photos and stuff like that of me. There's videos, of me training in Bad Boy Gym in Barhead, picking up a bag, slamming it, like flipping tires and stuff like that, like wearing like the Dinky Ninja Fight Team stuff when I was like 6. Do you know what I mean? So, which is the most renowned gym in Scotland, like the most renowned gym, like branch rather in Scotland. It's kind of split up a wee bit now, but I got one of the first ever Dinky Ninja Fight Team t-shirts back when they were releasing them and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So I've always fought. I've always done it. It's never something I've not done. But it took me about like 12 years or something like that, 13 years to have my first fight. So I had my first fight at 15, which was long overdue. And I fought some other boy about my age. and I think it lasted about 2 minutes. So since the very start, I've been having quick fights. Do you know what I mean? The difference between that and now though was within that 2 minutes, I was absolutely fucked. Like it was just a pure adrenaline dump, man.
Yeah.
I was just gubbed. I took the boy down and I just went mental, like just 15-year-old adrenaline, just first time I'd ever experienced adrenaline and stuff like that. Like you literally imagine putting a 15-year-old in a cage to fight another 15-year-old. Like your primal brain thinks this is to the death. Do you know what I mean? So just put all my energy into these punches, and then by the end of it, I was like, thank God he never got up because I'd be dead. Do you know what I mean?
Without rule sets and a referee, it actually has like a fight to the death until it stopped. It's fucking mental.
No, it's crazy. It's like, as close as you can get, yeah.
The fight you just had at the weekend, like I was saying to you in the car up, just the strength you've got to just get close enough, get the double leg, take them down, and apply enough constant, strong power to just wrap yourself round and take his back and strangle that unconscious. It's like, yeah, it's fucking terrifying to watch. And a question I'm going to steal from Kyle was, like, when we were watching, it was such a cool perspective because I know you now, like, personally. So we're watching you walk in and we're like, what the fuck is he going for his head? Is that what you were going to ask?
No, well, you've not stolen it because you just fucking absolutely chewed it up.
Just say it, you fucking smelly bastard. Say it then.
No, but so obviously, like, it's the first time I've actually met you in person. I feel like in a way I personally like care about you because of the way Jack's close to you and shit, you know what I mean? So when we're watching you, bro, it's like, fuck, that's fucking Sean that's standing about to walk in and fight him, right? So my perspective, well, obviously I took a bit of mushrooms at the fucking so I was heavy, like I was just pure in the fucking moment, alright? But a part of me was like, there's a bit of fear kicking in. I was a bit for you. I was like, fuck me, this is fucking mental. And then obviously you look so zoned in and you don't really look like you're phased by that and you look like you're just going in there to do a job. What is your actual perspective? Because that's what I was like, what, how does this cunt feel? Because I personally was like, fuck being him. I wouldn't, but that's based on my inexperience and I've not.
100%.
So what's your perspective?
No, but like, I'm feeling the same as you practically. Like it's like you walk backstage and stuff like that, you ask yourself the same questions all the time. Like, what the fuck am I doing? I could be in an office right now. Do you know what I mean? Just working, like not having to like punch somebody and get
so you actually think, why am I putting myself through this?
Like in the back, of course, like you think stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Everybody does. Anybody who says anything else is a liar. Do you know what I mean?
That's mad. Do you still have those kind of?
Yeah, like see, to be fair, it's never the same thing. You never experience the same thing twice. And James always says that, and it's so true. Like my fight before this last fight there, I tell a lie, I was not nervous for that last one. And I think there was so much going on in my life at that point in time. Like I'd just had a baby, like I'd just been flung into a house with my missus for the first time. You're spending 24/7 with her, you're arguing, like these are like, it's just a completely different new thing. You're sleep deprived, like it's just, there's so many different things. Like I've never been so emotionally drained in my life, and you're having to try and train at the intensity that you usually do when you're like, in essence, like working on like 10 hours sleep. Do you know what I mean? I used to like literally just get as much sleep as I wanted and then just put my all into fighting. Whereas now I'm like, you're not getting any sleep really. Like there's points in time where you're up for like 2 hours in the night trying to get this like little version of you to sleep. Like it's, I've never been so emotionally drained in my life, and I think that's one of the reasons for that fight specifically. I was not nervous at all. Like I remember thinking, I was like, this feels just as real as walking into a petrol station and filling up my tank. Do you know what I mean? It feels just like normal. Like I could, it felt like anything, like going to shops or anything like that. Whereas before, at my amateur days and stuff like that, and especially some of my professional fights, just sometimes it almost feels like a different dimension. Like you can't see the audience, you can't see anything. You're just zoned in. You're just completely zoned in. And it's such a hard experience to kind of like word, if you know what I mean. Whereas now, I think as I've been doing it more and more and more, they've kind of started coming together, if you know what I mean. Because it felt real, and I was in the moment, and I was able to see my family and stuff like that. When I first walked out in the big green, like in the big screen up in the top, I seen my family and stuff, which was comforting, but at the same time it was like nerve-wracking. So you're not really having any sort of internal dialogue, because you're like, the adrenaline's just took over by that point. There's no internal dialogue, it's just feeling and like emotion. So you're zoned in, but at the same time it feels just as real as any other part of your day.
So just one question about the fight before that one there. Do you feel like just because you mentioned it, because your life was consuming so much of your energy in that sense, you didn't really have the excess energy to really put into the fight?
Well, it was a hard one because arguably that's probably like I don't know if it's my best performance. I've put on like a lot of, it depends on how you look at it, because I was so perfect for such a consistent amount of time in that fight. That was the longest I've fought for, and I was perfect for the whole time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I was giving it my 100%, but my 100% wasn't as much as, say, for this fight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is maybe one of the reasons I wasn't able to put my weight as fast. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
But I felt like I didn't have as much emotional energy to give, if you know what I mean. But that's about as much of it. Like I couldn't. It was a very, very, very strange one. It felt very foreign to me, because normally I'm so nervous and I'm like, oh, and I'm like holding on to it, and you're trying to play out all the scenarios in your head, because you feel like the harder you try, the better it's going to be. But sometimes the more you just kind of like let go, like the better it's going to be. Do you know what I mean?
That's sick.
Because I let go completely for that fight, and it's, again, arguably one of my best performances. It's the most relaxed I've ever been.
See, one thing as well, that's actually what I was going to ask in a wee second. The other thing about you going into the ring, so obviously you're full of emotion, bit nerve-wracking, seeing the family and stuff like that. You obviously have a kind of game plan of what you're going to do when you go in there. Do you like go back to that when you're standing getting the fucking, like the shit in your face when you're standing before you go in? Like, is that in your head, or is...
No, you can't think of any of that. So see, when, like, especially because that guy was such a last-minute replacement, you've got no sort of... See, when it comes to a game plan, the game plan is ran through in the gym. You like, a game plan is not something you can think of in a fight. You've got no time to think in a fight. A game plan is something that you have to drill and drill and drill and drill and drill, so is that when you get into the fight, your body just reacts. Do you know what I mean? It's seen what this guy is going to do to you so many times in the gym that your body just knows what to do. So I can't be like, this guy's going to do this, so I'm going to do this in return, because that's what I've been drilling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not so much that, especially see, because this guy was so kind of erratic and he's just a fighter. I was just like, I'm just going to need to go in and just fight this guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've got no time to drill anything anymore. I need to just go in and just do my thing, just go and pose my will on him. So there was no time to kind of really drill a training camp for this one. I had to just go in and just do my thing against this guy, to be honest.
Sick. So you walk up into the Octagon? Obviously. Cage. Fucking, is it Octagon shaped still?
I'm actually not sure. It could be, because it's like a wee sub kind of feeder thingy to the UFC. So
yeah.
Maybe they allow it.
It's got edges. It looked like an Octagon. Octagon, hectagon, fucking pentagon, fuck it. But when you walk up into that, and I remember speaking to you in one of the sessions previous that you've started the fight in your head before you've already started. And I was saying that to Kyle, like, I take a little bit of mushrooms as well, not gonna lie. We were sitting watching, we're like, mate, he's already fainting. Like, in your head, you're like dancing about, you're already like fainting and all that shit. When you go in, and obviously your name's being announced and all that kind of stuff, do you have go-to things in your head that you think about, or are you just staying clear and letting your instinct take over? Because you've been doing this your whole fucking life. So what is the thought process from there to like the start of the fight?
Your body, again, you never really feel the same thing any single time you go in there. So one time I might need to like stretch out a wee bit more or something like that. Maybe I'll need to try and relax myself as much as possible. It's just whatever I feel in the moment. Do you know what I mean? So you'll see me kind of crouch down and stuff like that. I'll crouch down. It's just, I'm trying to like fire up the muscles, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm kind of trying to keep myself loose and stuff like that. I'm not wanting to stiffen up. I can feel my muscles kind of almost tickling. So I kind of means I need to use them. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
I can feel my muscles, like it's almost like a tickly feeling I get. So I need to kind of start using them. So I'll get down on all fours, and that kind of helps me use all of my muscles and stuff like that. When I see them, I want to get twitchy. Like, I don't want to go in and then just get stiff and then just kind of march at them. Like, I want to, like, do you know what I mean? I want to be like that by the time I fight. So I'm going to do that before I get into the fight, before I've got a guy in front of me that's trying to punch me in the face. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to do it before I have actually got any sort of threat, because when you've got a threat, like, your brain doesn't, there's no thought process. When you've got a threat, you're just reacting. So I'm trying to get myself doing that before I've got that kind of like incoming threat on me, if you know what I mean.
Cool. So training and that kind of stuff pre-programmed you for being able to act how you need to in the moment. That's
I want to be doing that, so that by the time I get into that sort of conflict, I'm doing that exact same thing. Do you know what I mean?
Because when most cunts are watching it, me included, I'm like, the jabs there, the fucking crosses there, it's like, I'm thinking like the shots that are open that you could maybe think to throw. Yeah. But it's not that, bro.
I can't see that.
Yeah.
I can't see that. And if I was to do that, you're looking at me, you're maybe not seeing what this guy's like, what this guy might be able to do as well. You might be like, oh, the jab's there, but then I throw a jab and the guy leans his head off to the side and throws something else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're only able to see one part of the puzzle. You're able to see me. I'm not able to see me, but I'm completely focusing on that guy, and I've got a completely different kind of bird's eye view. Yep. You're right. You're able to see things I can't see. That's why like you've got like corners and stuff like that. Like if James tells me to do something, I'm not gonna like. I'll maybe say something like if I can't see it or if I don't think it's there, I'll maybe say to him, and then like he'll let me know whether or not like it's there or not. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like he'll be like, right, you need to do this, and then I'm like, right, cool. Like I don't even second guess. I'm literally just sorted. I'll do that. Is
there any times you remember him saying something and you following through with it and fucking a guy
during the fight?
Yeah, during the fight.
It's a good question. James with my fights normally doesn't actually. Well, first of all, doesn't really make it to the second round, but then second of all, he like some of my fights he's not even spoke. Like he's not even said a word.
He didn't need to.
So that's like I remember my first fight in Cage Warriors in Ireland. He just sat. He just like I can't even remember what he done. He put his hat down and he was just kind of like sat back and never said anything because he was like he's got it in film and stuff like that. There's like people like somebody's filmed it and stuff. The guy just kind of sat back and never said anything because he had that much confidence in me. Do you know what I mean?
That's not
so. And again, that one never made it to the second round. But no, there's not really like. He's made me aware of certain things that I wouldn't have been aware of otherwise. Like in the fight before this last fight, I was throwing the calf kick, but when I was throwing it, I'd kind of been throwing it with my foot and I'd caught it off a guy's shin a couple of times.
Yeah.
I hadn't really realised that it was also hurting me until I looked down. He was like, right, stay away from that calf kick because I think you're going to end up hurting your foot. And I was like, right, cool. And I've looked down, my foot was all like black and blue and I was like, shit. So I was like, I better stay away from that. It wasn't like sore yet. I was like, it might have been the straw that broke the camel's back if I'd landed it another couple of times, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So he normally just keeps me aware, if you know what I mean.
I obviously have been fortunate enough to...
Oh, sorry, mate. But this last one as well, the rear naked choke, when I got it in, I was squeezing and you'll kind of be able to see it. The guy's no tapping, he stays in it for a fair length of time. And I remember thinking, I was like, should I let this go? And then you can hear James in the corner shouting on me to retract my elbow. And when you can literally see this happen in real time. Like I'm squeezing, the guy's no tapping, then he shouts on me to retract my elbow, and I'm like, right, cool. And I start retracting my elbow, and then like not even a second later, the guy starts tapping. So I was pretty sick. That was pretty cool.
So he has that's a perfect example.
Yeah. It's hard to think off the top of my head whenever. Like, do you know what I mean? Because when you're in a fight, sometimes you can't even remember what's happening in a fight.
Yeah.
Like I don't actually completely remember a lot of that fight, if you know what I mean, just because of the amount of adrenaline going through your system. There was a part of me that was like, when am I going to need to like let go of this? Do you know what I mean? Because obviously I'm squeezing so hard, like I'm trying to like rip this guy's face apart, and like I'm squeezing with all my might, and you can only squeeze for so long. Like it doesn't matter who you are, you can only squeeze for a certain amount of time. I'm not going to be able to squeeze for as hard as I possibly can for 5 minutes straight, as long as that round goes. Nobody can. So obviously it comes to your head, when am I going to need to let this go? And then James tells me to retract my elbow. Start retracting my elbow, and funnily enough, the guy just starts to tap. It wasn't even under the chin, to be fair. The guy was just tough. It was like over his face. It was a horrible, horrible joke.
Who was your opponent again?
Rafael Aronov.
Well, some mad Israeli, Free Palestine.
It was hundreds of mad stuff going on. One of the the weigh-in post. Like it was just Jews versus Muslims. Man, it was mad. It was. Very, very, very. Like,
give some context. So, like, obviously, he was like an Israeli.
He's an Israeli anti-terrorist police officer. That was it. So he was like right in the thick of that. So the Muslims did not like him. Like he'd put a post up not long ago how like he'd killed like 2 members of Hamas in October. So a lot of people. I never even knew that until somebody put it in the comments, and I was like, "Fucking leave me out of this, man. Just let me cut out with my rosary beads." You know what I mean?
Yeah, literally.
Like, repent and please the gospel, bro.
Yeah, literally.
I'm just, I don't know. It was weird. It was very, very, very weird because I'm not a Muslim and I'm not a Jew. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just.
It's fuck all to do with you, man.
I'm not to do with me, man. And people are trying to like turn it into like a pure race war thing. Like,
thank you.
This Jewish guy, and I'm like, what? Like, I'm just fighting somebody. Do you know what I mean?
Free Palestine, regardless. But I've been so fortunate enough to like speak to so many fucking class minds already. and like especially elite level athletes. And I feel like there's only a small percentage of cunts that can actually get to the top. They need to have the mentality, the mindset, all that, and that leads Kyle on to what he was going to ask you, because the mindset part of this is so fascinating, bro, because there's only so many fucking people.
Yeah, what I think a lot of people watching would want to know is, like, how does Sean deal with fear? Like, what's a fear maybe that's reoccurring, pops up all the time, or a fear that you've maybe dealt with, and how do you deal with it? How does Sean deal with fear?
Like, are you talking about backstage or like just day-to-day life?
In general, so like a fear that I would have in my head about fighting is I go in there and I get knocked out and die, or like, I don't know, like fucking just in general, the
Pretty
fear
fair
of being
point.
on a big stage, the fear of like getting, so like a lot of people self-sabotage and hold themselves back because of maybe the fear of failure, or even the fear of success, like getting to that next level that requires you to be that kind of person. Like, how do you deal with that?
So I think it was something that I really actually did struggle with all my life. Not all my life, but since I've started fighting, it was something I struggled with. You need to come to terms with the fact that you're going to be nervous. You're going to be nervous. Does not matter who you are. If it means enough to you, then you're going to stick at it regardless of how horrible that feeling is. It's the worst feeling in the world. But if it genuinely means this much to you, then you're going to stick to it regardless. You've said you're going to fight, so you need to go out and fight, and you're going to keep doing it over and over and over again. You don't necessarily need to feel good. Do you know what I mean? As a person, like, who says you should feel happy all the time? Do you know what I mean? Who says that you shouldn't feel scared? Do you know what I mean? So it's one of those things. It's an emotion just the same way any other emotion is. It's just kind of what you attach to it, if you know what I mean. Being a fighter means so much to me. Getting closer to my faith and stuff like that as I've got older has definitely helped as well. You realise I was a bit of a control freak and stuff like that when it came to certain things, like being like that. Whenever you think of a scenario like getting knocked out or anything like that, anxiety creeps in, and when you realise that anxiety is just there so that you can try and think of a solution to the situation. That's the only reason anxiety exists, is so that you can try and think of a solution. But when you realise there is absolutely nothing else you can do other than do your very best at training, go in with a clear mind and then fight a guy, there's nothing else you can really like. There's nothing else you can do. Do you know what I mean? So there's a passage in the Bible, it's Exodus 14:14. It really helps me. It's God will fight for you. All you need to do is be still. So all I need to do is just, I don't need to do anything. The work's been done. Me sitting overthinking, oh, this is not going to help me at all. Stressing out, like one of the only ways I lose this fight is via letting the stress get the better of me and going in and just going ape shit and tiring out. Like, that's one of the only ways I lose that fight, is if I genuinely let the stress get the better of me. So what's the point in stressing out? Do you know what I mean? What's the point in being that nervous? There's no point in being nervous anymore. Like, you're there. It's too late to be nervous. Do you know what I mean? You're going to be nervous, but succumbing to it, it's not going to do anybody any favours.
So what you do is control the controllable.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what you go to.
Control the controllable, exactly.
But your perspective on anxiety, which I've never heard that before, the way you've said it, it's almost given to you for you to find a solution.
Exactly. So that's why your body's constantly trying to think of you're just going over it and over it and over it over and over and over again. That's what anxiety is. You're just trying to think of a way out of the situation, or you're trying to think of a solution to the situation. That's all it is. The sooner you realise that there is nothing you can actually do, or if you're going to fight, that's it. There's nothing else you can do. You're not going to get out of the situation, so you need to just come to terms with the fact that you're going to be nervous. Do you know what I mean? So
do you look to just exhaust all of the things that you can control?
Yeah, exactly.
Anything you can't control, even if that is still leftover anxiety.
Exactly.
You give it a, so your perspective is though that that's there for a reason, and the reason that's there is to allow you to find a solution. So you turn anxiety into something that's beneficial and actually something you can use.
If there's nothing else you can actually do, then what's the point in being anxious? It serves you no more purpose. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
I remember when I was doing my driving lesson, this is completely different. I was doing my driving lesson once, and I was like, the only way I fail this is if I get nervous and make a stupid decision. So there's no point in being nervous. Do you know what I mean? There is actually no point in being nervous if that's all it's going to do. So you just put it to the back of your mind the way you do anything else. Like, if you can't be bothered, like, studying for your homework, you just put it to the back of your mind. You do it the same as anything else. And I'm one of the most anxious people in the world. Like, I get more nervous than anybody when it comes to a fight. If I'm able to do it, anybody else is able to do it. Fighting means so much to me. I've spent so long trying to think of scenarios, and I've spent so long trying to experiment with trains of thought and stuff like that, and that is genuinely something that works for me. Come to the conclusion that there is nothing else that you can actually do. If you're going to fight, you're going to be nervous. Just come to...
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, what you seem to be able to do, though, which is fucking amazing, which if more people could do it, they wouldn't be controlled by nerves and anxiety, is you detach yourself from anxiety. So anxiety isn't you, whereas a lot of people, they almost form their identity based off feeling anxious, and that's who they are, they're an anxious person. Whereas you see anxious or anxiety as something else that comes from somewhere else, it's not you, which is, I think that's probably why you can use it in the way you're saying it, because you detach yourself from it.
Yeah, exactly. You detach yourself from it. Like, see, when I'm backstage, there's not much I can do about the chemicals flooding into my blood. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing I can do about that. I'm going to be feeling these jitters. I'm going to be feeling that horrible feeling in my stomach. As soon as you realise that all it is a feeling, it's not anything else other than a feeling, it helps. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
You're like, your brain's just like, oh, it just goes into panic mode. As soon as you realise that it is just a feeling, it's not like really control. It's not as a result of, oh, something might happen in the fight. Like all that superstitious bullshit that people go through before fights, like, oh, I've not worn my special socks. It's a lot of pish. Like stuff like that only adds to anxiety. Do you know what I mean? As soon as you detach yourself from anything like that, you'll be better off. Do you know what I mean? Like I used to be a super superstitious person, and I realised that was worsening my anxiety. Do you get me?
100%. So would you say that you have increased your awareness overall, and that's what's allowed you to detach yourself from anxiety? Exactly. I think that's so sick. And the fact that you are aware that it's chemicals that are released, because I personally, going back into like when I was like 14, 15, 16, was really controlled by anxiety and stress. As soon as I understood it was a physiological response and it wasn't actually me, I could detach myself. So that's so sick that you're able to do that. It's fucking...
And do you feel like your faith and digging deeper into that's allowed you to be able to almost like shift the responsibility onto God?
Exactly.
It's so sick.
So what's your belief? Is it monotheism?
I'm a Catholic, but I've actually been... Christian's Christian, you know what I mean? We all kind of believe the same thing. But first and foremost, I'm a Catholic. I'm baptised. I've been raised in a Catholic school. My family are Catholics. So I'm Catholic. But that's...
Big up the Pope.
Don't really like the Pope. That's the only thing. So see, that's the only thing.
Cut it.
I know.
Hey,
But like that passage really, really, really helps me. It's something I say to myself all the time.
Yeah.
God will fight for you. All you need to do is be still.
Yeah. I make the point that if you believe in the universe or you believe in God or whatever you believe in, as long as it allows you to act in a way that you want to act or a way that benefits you, the people around you, I don't think it really matters what you believe in. So the fact that you've been able to use faith to reinforce positive behaviors, I think that's all that really matters, isn't it? So,
so let's speak us through the process. When you wake up in the morning, you've woke up from your wet dream and your deep sleep, fight day today. Like, talk us through the actual process, like of just roughly when you wake up until you're in the locker room warming up to fight.
So I wake up in the morning, my nutritionist there, he will tell me what I'm having for breakfast. It's normally a pretty heavy breakfast, so I'll have something like excuse me, for that fight I had some berries and porridge with a bowl of cornflakes and orange juice. Sorry, it was apple juice. So I'll have something pretty big, something that will make me feel a wee bit full and stuff like that. And then I'll maybe have a couple of wee snacks. I'll hydrate and stuff like that. The nerves will creep in, but again, as we were talking about, there's no point in being nervous. It's easier said than done, though. Trust me. In order to combat the nerves, fight day when I'm not fighting, you kind of realise, like at one point in time, I was sitting in a cafe with my nutritionist and one of my teammates, and then the nerves started to kind of creep in a wee bit, and then you realise, like Stevie Ray actually helped me with this one, one of my teammates as well. He was saying that there's no danger there and then. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, get nervous next to the fight, fair enough, but like right now I'm in a coffee shop with two of my friends, having a coffee, like eating my food. There's no danger, so just sit and relax. Do you know what I mean? So I'll have the whole day's basically just prepped on having food, making sure I'm fueled, and I'm just trying to stay as relaxed as possible.
Yeah, that's perfect.
See, just the reason why do you know why you are nervous though when you're sitting in the cafe?
Yeah. I know why I'm nervous. It's like I'm about to fight some guy in front of my mum. You know what I mean?
But the reason why you actually your body's releasing those chemicals is because your brain doesn't know the difference between a real life event and a thought.
Exactly.
So it will release the same chemicals just from thinking about it. So if you feel like you're better, say on fight day, instead of sitting feeling nervous, you just don't feed those kind of thoughts that would make you nervous.
Yeah, there's literally no actual like good enough reason to be nervous like at that point in time when I'm sitting in that coffee shop. Do you know what I mean? There was a quote, being nervous is about as useful as trying to chew bubblegum to solve a math equation. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking useless. Like there's no point in it.
Doesn't benefit at all.
So let's dig into some fucking scenarios, mate. We've got a freak of nature sitting in front of us. I want to put you into some fucked up scenarios right now. I want you to tell me what you think would happen, who would win the fight, or the interaction, and why. Sean Clancy Jr. versus Khamzat Chimaev.
Khamzat Chimaev, he's a big boy.
It's not even the same weight category.
He isn't anymore.
Oh, fuck. Is he not?
No, he's a middleweight now, but he used to be a welterweight.
Oh, well, fuck him then.
See, be fair, bro's a wee bit. I think he's actually pretty, like, it's a hard one because you could easily say he's mentally weak because there's a situation where he had COVID and then he was like, I'm retired. Do you know what I mean? He almost retired to COVID. So, but at the same time, he trains like an absolute madman and he's been an absolute war away Gilbert Burns. So it's hard. I think his gas tank's a wee bit suspect, especially since COVID and stuff like that. So you'd need to just weather the early storm and then try and come back in the later rounds. If it was a 5-round fight, it would probably benefit me a lot more.
Sick. Versus Kamaru
Usman, bros, I'd need to just smash his legs up. His knees are gubbed.
Oh, yeah.
So you need to smash his legs up rapid. He's really, really good everywhere, but he's not got like many weapons, so there's minimal that you actually really need to worry about. You just need to worry about him closing the distance. You need to worry about his hands. That's really about it, to be honest. He's not going to propose any sort of like unusual threats. You've got 2 or 3 things to really worry about, and then you need to try and impose your own game on him. To be honest, I'd probably smash the guy's legs up. That's what I would focus on, because that is a big weakness that everybody knows about, and I don't think has really been exploited before.
It's a sick point to note that every fight is so different.
It's
fucking mental.
Fight, like, styles make fights completely. Like it's something that's so true.
What's a style that gives you a bit of bother? None.
That's a good question.
Or just one of the more trickier styles to deal with.
I don't know. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. It just depends on the day, really. I'll tell you off camera. Probably.
Oh fuck! We're exposing the game.
Do you know what? Do you know what it is? Something that I like. One of the ways that I actually constantly try and improve myself is to genuinely think: if I was to fight me, what would I do to win? Do you know what I mean? If I was to fight Sean Clancy, how would I beat him? And then I improve myself from there. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's say, for instance, I don't know, he is not good at his grappling's no good. I'd take him on the ground and then I'd beat him there. That's something I would need to work on. Do you know what I mean? So that's something I think about quite a lot, to be honest. So nothing off on the top of my head right now.
So you think of trying to beat yourself, and
that's a good perspective because that allows you to look at your weaknesses, and then
like
you're looking at yourself
unobjectively,
no filter. Yeah, that's fucking that
is fucking mental.
In general, that's a good way to develop though, because even with a fighting scenario, you're saying like, how could I beat myself in a fight? But for anyone listening, like in life, if you can look at yourself and think, if I was to come up against you in any scenario, where could I take advantage of you? Like, it allows you to look at your weaknesses. Are you done with your fucking shitty questions?
Yeah, I think they flopped a little bit.
Back
to the deep chat. Yeah.
So, Sean, why do you fight? Because again, when I look at this shit, I'm like, bro, so good at fighting. You've got such a. We see, obviously, everyone sees you in the UFC. You're world champion. It's amazing, right? Why?
It's actually a good question. I ask myself that quite a lot, to be honest. I want to be the best in the world. It's something I have always said since I was a young boy. If you try and dig deeper, like, why do you want to be the best in the world? I don't fucking know. I don't know. I genuinely do not know. It's maybe something got to do with how my dad raised me or something like that. I don't know. Because he was the one that got me into fighting. A lot of like my mentality when it comes to fighting is derived from how he's raised me. I genuinely have no clue, mate. I think it's just so deeply ingrained in the kind of person that I am. I think the stars just aligned with me. Absolutely everything seems like, imagine I just gave up fighting tomorrow, that would be the biggest shame. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I have too much talent. I feel like I have too much going on with me when it comes to fighting, just to not give it my all. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would just be a shame if I never.
When I say why though, it's like there's going to be days where you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Why do you still do it?
It's just something I've always done. Like, you wake up and you have breakfast. I wake up and I train. Like, I wake up and I fight. It's just so deeply ingrained in who I am. I couldn't imagine not doing it. Like I'm never going to not fight. When I retire, I'm going to need to stay in shape. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to need to stay like in the same routine that I'm doing now, because it's just something I have always done. See, if I would go from one extreme to another, I'll probably end up driving myself insane. So, the same reason you do anything was something you do every day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, just like train.
It's just something I need to do. Like, I have to do it.
It's fucking mental. It's fucking crazy. No,
like, it's who I am as a person.
Yeah, literally.
It's as natural to me as speaking. Do you know what I mean?
Because we wanted to be professional footballers when we were older, because we grew up playing football.
Yeah.
And the dream slowly died off when we were cheeky little cunts and get dropped, right?
That's something that's common with people that have got into it as young as me, if you know what I mean. That's something that's really common. I think that's what separates me. Because you'll get people that like start off as young as me, and then they'll just fall off. Like, they'll discover girls, they'll discover partying, they'll discover all these different things. But I didn't have many friends growing up. Do you know what I mean? So I used this as a kind of escape from it, and like fighting was my excuse as to why I never had friends. I'm like, I've got no time for friends. I've got training and stuff like that. And the more I flung myself into it, the worse it got in that way. Like the more like different, the more different I kind of got from everybody, and the more like fighting became a part of me, if you know what I mean. So a lot of people getting into fighting, it probably helps with their confidence and stuff like that. I was never naturally a confident person growing up. So people who have been involved in fighting and stuff like that, they've probably got that natural confidence. So they like, just through being able to fight, they probably find it easy to make friends and stuff like that. Blah 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 blah. I never really had that, so it was just something I never got invited to parties or anything like that. So I never had to worry about going to a party or nothing. Do you know what I mean? So I never felt the need to fall away from it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so it sounds like now it's just a part of your identity.
Exactly.
When was the earliest point in your life, just so I can understand a little bit more why you're doing this shit, because although it doesn't go deeper than just being your identity now, when was the earliest point that you had that desire to fight and like be a fighter? Like, can you remember?
Always, since I literally a baby, like my dad, like I just wanted to make my dad proud. Do you know what I mean? I just wanted to make my dad happy and make my dad proud of me and stuff like that. And then I knew that was a way to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, whenever like he would look at me and be like, look how cool that kid is. If I was really good at fighting and I was really good at training and I was better than everybody. See, if I was the best, it'd be like my son's the best and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So
that's where it comes from.
That'll be where it comes from.
It's a big part of where it comes from. And not just to fulfill your dad's dream or just to please your dad.
It became something else now. It became something different. It's grew, but that was probably the base of it, to be honest.
Where the desire started. That's sick. That's class. That's the answer I was looking for.
Yeah. There you go.
Class. Because you were also talking about how you handle nervousness and stress. It's useless, all that kind of stuff. But you would have had to have come to terms with that multiple times to get better at dealing with it. 100%. And it's just because the purpose of fighting for you is so much bigger than the problems you need to face.
Exactly. I could not have said that better myself.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Genuinely could not.
Your purpose is bigger than your problems. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like, how I feel doesn't matter. I need to be the best in the world, and that's all that matters.
Come on. It's so fucking sick. Because like, so even just like I'm so interested in your journey for the next 2 or 3 years. I'll hopefully be a part of it if you don't drop me. But fucking, hopefully I'll keep you injury free. But so you've got 2 fights left in your contract. Do you see that being fulfilled? Do you see yourself fighting twice before?
Yeah. Ideally, I'd like. I would need to probably get maybe a wee bit of special treatment in order just to jump straight to a fucking title fight. I don't think that will happen. I think I'll get one more fight and then I'll get a title fight.
Yeah.
I think that would probably make the most sense for everybody, because they're wanting me out in November, I think.
Okay.
So I'll be out in November, either in London or Newcastle. I think Newcastle. Yeah. I think Newcastle suits me a wee bit better time wise.
Yeah. Okay.
But so I'll probably fight one more time and then I'll get the belt and then I'll take the belt. Whoever's get the belt, I'm happy with fighting anybody in Cage Warriors, to be honest.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to be I doubt they'll I doubt the UFC won't pick me up once I've got the belt. Do you know what I mean? I doubt I'll have to defend the title again.
No.
It would be different if I had, like, I don't know, like an 8-fight contract. I don't know if they do them. But, like, or it would be different if I got the title after my 3rd fight or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And then I could maybe do a couple of defences. I would imagine the UFC would pick me up by then. If they don't, then maybe they'll give me a wee 1-fight contract, 2-fight contract. I don't know how it would work.
I don't know. I feel like the age you are, the fucking 7-0 going into the UFC. There's been prospects that have been less going into the UFC.
Exactly.
I feel like I see them nurturing you a little bit, giving you a few kind of veterans or people to just fucking mull and then slowly build you up, or they'll test you straight away. I think either of which you're going to fucking kill it, man.
I think it doesn't matter. I'm in such a privileged position to not care. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't give a fuck who they give me. Like, I'll smash any of them. Put me in against any of those guys and I'd bet myself. Do you know what I mean? There's nobody in Cage Warriors I'm necessarily scared to fight. There's nobody in even really, like, there's nobody I look at my weight class that I'd be scared to fight, to be honest. I put myself in against anybody and I'm
UFC
I'm
as well.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I 100%.
Is Leon Edwards the champion right now?
No, he lost it to Bilal Muhammad.
Oh shit, sorry, he did. He
just lost it. Genuinely, I'm a confident guy. I look at my reasons to be confident, and like I've got all of them. Do you know what I mean? The only reason I shouldn't be confident is because of how young I am, so how I'm a little bit further behind as far as like experience goes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if I look at it unobjectively, like if they came into the gym, like would I have a good day or a bad day? I'd have a good day. Like that's how I look at it. I can't see any other circumstance, if you know what I mean.
So one more scenario then, like Sean Clancy Jr. versus Bilal Muhammad. What happens?
Bilal Muhammad. He's actually, so I'll try and answer this as honest as I can. He's very good pressure fighter. You need to just sting him as hard as you can, like coming in. You'd need to like really punish him for trying to pressure you. You can't let him just come forward and not respect your power. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that was Leon's issue. If he feels like every time he's coming forward then he's getting hurt, then his like caveman brain will kick in. He'll be like, I don't want to move forward anymore. Do you know what I mean? So you need to like let him feel your power, let him feel your presence for the get-go. Don't just put him in some pain, to be honest. Let him think about how much pain he's in, and then it'll make him not want to press you forward. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it need to be something like that. I'd need to like get athletic with that guy because he's not very fast. He's not very powerful. He's just constant. Do you know what I mean? So I'd need to get him going at my rhythm, and then I would take it from there. And then you're the UFC champion. Exactly. Easy. it was just completely fucking from the start to the end, bro. Easy. Yeah. It's fucking mental though, because obviously I see you weekly now and I know your training schedule's pretty fucking full on, twice a day, all that. Mm-hmm. When it comes to that, like so it's just genuinely the deep purpose to be the world champion that drives you every fucking day. And I get you. Obviously when I started doing a wee bit of Muay Thai, I was kind of shaking myself before every session. Yeah. Like probably now you feel like a sense of comfort knowing you've got training soon. Yeah. It's like the opposite almost. Yeah. You might get a wee bit more nervous like sparring days, but like they're all your boys now. Sometimes I still get nervous during sparring days and stuff like that, yeah. If I've not trained in a wee bit, then I'll start to get that anxious way that you're talking about. Like it's the opposite. Like if I'm not there, then I'll start to get a wee bit anxious. During sparring days, sometimes I'll get anxious, especially if it depends. It really depends. Sometimes, like maybe I'm a wee bit tired. I've not got that anxiety about me and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like say for instance, somebody like Mark Ewan's in, and I'm like, I'm going to need to spar with Mark Ewan. That's competitive. Do you know what I mean? Me and Mark are competitive with each other. We push each other a lot. So he'll get the same with me. Do you know what I mean? He's not going to be like, whenever we're sparring with each other, we're switched on. Otherwise, we're going to get hit, and we both hit hard. So we need to be fucking, do you know what I mean? We need to make sure we're on the ball. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes I still get nervous before sessions, just certain ones. Or like, do you know what? I'm actually nervous for a fair couple of sessions, like the wrestling sessions that James gets us doing on the Tuesday and Thursday. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Really? Oh, they're so good because you know how like much better they're getting you compared to everybody. But like that's why I'm able to, like, I'm so much more comfortable grappling than anybody else I'm grappling with, and it's because of those sessions. Those sessions are brutal. Like people will come from other gyms and stuff like that, and they just will not be able to hang. Like nobody can hang with those Tuesday, Thursday morning wrestling sessions just because the pace they're going at. Do you know what I mean? some of those sessions, or like when I'm doing S&C with Adam, he'll get me doing sprints on the assault bike. Like, it doesn't matter how good your gas tank gets, you cannot sprint as hard as you possibly can for 30 seconds without being gubbed and then having to do it again. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't do those sprints without being tired, so you're going to get nervous before them, because I know what I'm willing to put my body through. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. If I wasn't willing to put my body through that much pain, I wouldn't get as nervous.
So for the last 6 years, you've actually been actively fighting in the cage, these kind of things. When it comes to fighting, what would you say is a lesson that stands out that you've been able to learn in the last, say, 6 years? Maybe obviously you've been fighting since you've been 2, but last 6 years, I assume, has probably been where the most of the growth has happened.
Yeah.
What's a lesson that stands out that you've learned?
Lesson? We've a couple of the ones I was speaking about just there, like, got to do with the nervousness and stuff like that, have been pretty pivotal for me. When it comes to like social interactions and stuff like that, I was never like socially very like talented, if that's a phrase you can use.
Yeah.
But nervousness when it comes to things like that. Consistency. If you're consistent, it puts you ahead of like 99% of people. Like, you'd be surprised how many people are not consistent. If you're just there every single day, like, it'll put you ahead of anybody. If you do what you want every single day and you try hard every single day, it'll put you ahead of most people. You will like bear fruit from that. Do you know what I mean? Nobody trains as consistently as me. Sometimes you might train harder than me on certain days or whatever, blah 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 blah. But you won't be in, like, if we rack up how many hours I'm getting in that gym every single year, you're not getting as many hours as me. And that kind of goes for anything in life, to be honest. See, as long as you're consistent, like, you win.
100%. So consistently good.
Mm-hmm. Being consistent, having a consistent kind of. A lot of people will go into training camps and stuff like that, and they'll be like, they won't train really hard outside of training, like outside of when they've got a fight.
Yeah.
I think something that kind of puts me ahead of everybody is I'm always in the gym. Like, I'm always in the gym. Sometimes, like, when I've not got a fight, I won't be pushing it as hard, because you need to peak. You need to be able to peak. You can't start a training camp at 100% fitness, because you'll just be injured. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You'll just injure yourself. And you need to come to terms with that as well, because some people just push it, and then they need to take like 2 or 3 weeks off training. Do you know what I mean? That's another reason that people won't train as hard as me or as consistent as me. They won't rack up as many hours, not for lack of trying, but for lack of thought to the situation, if you know what I mean.
You like the calculated approach you take.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm constantly trying to, like, what do I need to do to be the best fighter I can possibly be? And
you don't get injured because Jack treats you as well.
Exactly.
Olive Clinic.
Right, exactly.
Well, no, I think that's fucking sick. So the one of the biggest lessons that stood out from you is you don't need to be going in and giving it your all every single day, but just show up every single day.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, there's lessons where I'm giving it my 100% all. Do you know what I mean? But some, you need to humble yourself and realise that you can't give it 100% all every single time. Like, I give 100% of my attention to fighting, but you can't always give 100% of your energy to fighting. Do you know what I mean? Everything I do is to make me a better fighter, but I can't just run on all cylinders all the time. Otherwise, I'll end up injured and I'll need to take time off regardless.
Yep.
So consistency. That's number one.
Sick. 100%, because that's another thing as well that I experienced with Nico. Like, you kind of do overtrain, right? Like, you kind of fucking do.
In order to be a fighter, you have to. You need to overtrain to the point where you're, like, able to consistently.
You're conditioning yourself at the same time. Like, long term, you've done it long enough now that you can overtrain without the risk of injury as you once maybe were exposed to. But would you say, like, not to talk about me, right, but just like, how important would you say external factors of recovery, whether that be your nutritionist, me, like, how helpful do you feel like that is and effective when it comes to being able to overtrain as much as you do?
Like, a lot of, like, not so much anymore, but back in the day, MMA fighters were just like, right, train. Do you know what I mean? Yep. Especially, like, England was quite bad for that and stuff like that. Like, they would just overtrain, and that was kind of what they were known for. And it was just the people that were able to keep that pace that would make it. A lot of people, there were probably a lot of talented people that just got, like, weeded out due to that. Do you know what I mean? If they were actually, like, if they took a more modern day approach, then they, like, could have probably done something with themselves.
Yep.
But it's needed. You have to do it nowadays in order to act. Like, the talent pool nowadays is just so deep. You can't not do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, but on the same hand, like, I understand training MMA is not a healthy lifestyle. Like, I'm not training to be a healthy individual. I'm not dieting to be a healthy individual. I'm dieting and I'm training for performance. I want to be the best in the world, and that's all that matters. Of course, like when I diet and stuff like that, things I'm eating, they're putting me ahead of like most of Britain, because like what's like 50% of Britain fat or something like that. Like
so, fat cunts, mate.
Do you know what I mean? So it's already putting me ahead of most people. But if I was to train and like diet for lifestyle and healthy lifestyle, it'd be a lot different to what I'm doing. I'm under no illusion that what I'm doing is not healthy. The human body is not supposed to go through what I'm going through. So yes, I am overtraining, and I do end up with injuries and stuff like that, but you have to be in order to be the best. You have to be like, I need to make sure I'm consistently training harder than everybody.
Yeah,
like, I can't just not be injured all the time, otherwise I'm not training hard enough. Do you know what I mean?
Push the boundaries. 100%.
Yeah, you need to push the boundaries, exactly. Otherwise, like, there could be so much, you could be training harder. Do you know what I mean? If I'm not injured all the time, I could be pushing it a little bit more and just not know. Whereas if I know that I'm injured, if I know that I'm a wee bit injured all the time, there's no more I could push this. Like, I'm pushing this as hard as I can, and a little bit more.
You could just take steroids.
I suppose I suppose I could just take steroids.
Just get roided.
See, that's the thing as well. That's the thing. A lot of people obviously like accuse me and stuff like that.
21 with the shape you're at, bro.
Exactly. So it's like, it's easy to accuse. Trust me. See, if I was taking steroids, I would not be out of that gym. You would not be able to get me out of the gym. It's like, that's just something that people are always going to say about me. See, if you look at photos of me when I was like 6 or like even like 11 and stuff like that, like I've always been in a freak of shape. Like, look, my dad, like he used to like cut his calories down to like 800 like calories a day in food so that he could drink alcohol and still have fucking abs. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've got ridiculous genetics. It's just it's one of the reasons I genuinely believe I've been put on this earth to be a world champion and to be the best ever. Like, my wee brother Logan, like he was like, he got heavy, but he was like 120 kilo and he was like still able to dunk a basketball. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're just athletes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So if I was to take steroids, everybody would be fucked. Everybody's been fucked regardless. But
yeah,
like,
literally.
No, probably something I'll do after fighting. Maybe not steroids, but like maybe take some like TRT or whatever after fighting. I see a lot of people talking about how that's healthy and stuff like that. So
Can be. Yeah.
I can see why it would. Obviously, I'm not just going to jump into it. Like, as soon as I'm finished fighting, I'd need to actually look it up or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, people. I've came to terms with the fact that people are just going to say shit. Do you know what I mean?
100%. They say Nico's on steroids. It's like,
exactly. So doesn't.
If you were on steroids,
compliment in a weird way. Do you know what I mean?
If you were on steroids, you'd have 5 teardrop tattoos, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 5 deaths on the record.
If I was on steroids, people would know about it. I'm such a like mild mannered person. Like, I don't talk much. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like incredibly like emotional or anything like that. I'm not consistent. Like, I'm always in good shape, but you can see like when I'm not training, when I've not got a fight and stuff like that, I'm soft. Like, you can see I'm softer. Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? So
never
like,
soft, mate.
Aye, so I'm soft there. I'm not like just pure vascular
all the time. Yeah.
I'm not like a fucking hard on all the time. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you can't see abs or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of one of the reasons you can tell I'm not doing anything like that. But
just a question that I had as well, right? Because a lot of fighters, like, I'd say like most of their energy does go into fighting. But like, what? Ask you the question before I even like dig into layers of it. But what fills Sean's cup the most? Like, what actually what fulfills you the most in life?
That's a good question. Winning probably. That's a really good question. Sitting back and then kind of making sure me and my family are good. Like, just being the kind of person that I feel like God would be proud of. Do you know what I mean? Like, just if I was to ask like Jesus or God the question, like, have I done well? If I think their answer would be yes, then that's probably something that would fulfill me the most. Do you know what I mean? I just want to be a good person. Do you know what I mean? You get a lot of people that make it in fighting and stuff like that, and then get like, I don't know, they seem to get like an ego and stuff like that. I don't really want to be. I want to make sure I stay away from that, as far away from that as possible. I want to help people. That's something that really actually genuinely fulfills me, is helping people. So I think that's one of my callings as well.
To provide for those around you.
Exactly. I don't really feel the need for materialistic things. So I think, again, all of these stars aligning is going to be one of the, like, it's everything seems like it's building up to me building a platform so that I can help people, if you know what I mean. So helping people is probably number one.
I think that's amazing, because when you don't fight any longer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could snap your leg backwards, you get
Yeah.
hit by a fucking car, and you can never fight again, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, that's never gonna happen, right? But when you lose fighting, what the fuck do? You help people. So
Exactly.
you've already got that there
Yeah.
lined out to have a fulfilling life after fighting, which I think is really sick, bro. It's fucking class, because a lot of people don't have that.
I believe in everything happens for a reason. Like, I do believe in everything happens for a reason so strongly. I think stars align and stuff like that. Like, I want to have charities and stuff like that when I'm older. Like, I met my missus, like Hannah Salvatera. Like, her second name means save the world. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think things like that, it's just God putting wee Easter eggs in and stuff
Crazy,
like that.
bro,
Do you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, I think that things like that are just, I don't know. I love stuff like that.
It's too in alignment for it to not be.
It's too weird. Do you know what I mean? It's too weird. It's just, I think stuff like that just shows.
It's a sign almost. Do you
Exactly.
say everything happens for a reason? Do you believe that something's happened to cause that thing to happen, or do you think that happens for something to happen after
I
that?
don't know. I don't think it's something that I would be able to comprehend. I think that's maybe once I'm dead that I can see why things might have happened. I don't think I need to know why everything happens.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
But you give it a reason.
Yeah. I think whether it's just a healthier kind of mindset to have, or whether everything genuinely happens for a reason, it's just a good way to think, I think.
Does it really matter though? As long as it
Exactly.
allows you to align yourself with the best version of yourself, help people
Exactly.
around you. It doesn't actually matter what you believe in, as long as your actions help you and people that are in your life. It's mad that we could dig into, like, see the philosophical side of things though. We could actually sit and talk about it for 5 hours, so let's just not get into that. No, because like, you say everything happens for a reason, and it generally just allows you to cope with the bad things that happen also. Like, we were talking about why you weren't in the fucking prize fighter final. Like, why were you not the one to get the 50k? Because you would have just fucking literally handed that cunt his fucking cock, right? But like, we were saying, I feel like the reason it maybe happened was, I said in the car, that like, your financial situation says a lot about how complacent you are and comfortable, and not to say that would ever happen to you, because of what you're saying, you don't strive for materialistic things. But if being put in that position, you're like, oh, 50k fucking XYZ, it could have maybe been of some detriment to your focus and developing
100%.
into the next fight, and then UFC. So that's obviously everything happens for a reason, twisting it into a positive. But I genuinely feel like with that money in your bank, there could have been a little bit of foot off the gas, whereas right now you're like, nah, I've still got to prove my fucking point. You would already think that, but do you know what I'm trying to say? You're actually hungrier,
exactly
having that 50k dangled in front of you. You're
pissed
actually
me
hungry,
off.
innit?
Yeah, do you know
fuck
what
these
I mean?
cunts.
No, it's not like anything got to.
Fuck these cunts.
It's not got anything got to do with them. Like, they've not meant it. Like, Cage Warriors wanted me in that tournament. Do you know what I mean? They were probably just more pissed off than I was. Like, nobody was at the last for the last fight. There was like, you're lucky if there was like 100 people there. Do you know what I mean? Like, they would have much rathered me in that final.
Oh, bro,
Do you know
the
what I mean?
arena when you
They
came
would
out,
have
bro,
so
was mad.
much rathered that. Like, I know that, and that's why I'm not angry at them. Like, I'm not upset with them or anything like that. Do you know what? I'm not even that upset. I think one of the reasons I got so annoyed was because of how annoyed everybody else got. Like, I believe so strongly that God's got a better plan for me. And if I genuinely believe that, then I've got no right to be pissed off. Do you know what I mean? So it's not something I think about. If I was happy before the £50,000, how could I be upset after not having the £50,000 as well? Do you know what I mean? It would be detrimental for no reason. So sitting and getting pissed off about it, again, it doesn't serve me. So why would I be pissed off?
Yeah, I just want to appreciate the point you made about how overtraining almost lets you know that you're at your limits at all times. Because if you're not getting to the red line, then you won't really know that you're putting your full potential out of that.
Exactly.
And being in that red line does risk a bit of injury, little niggles here and there. And the funny thing is, the feedback you just gave us there is the same feedback I've heard from all the other elite level athletes that I work with. And it's quite cool to understand that implementing someone like myself on a weekly to maintain those niggles and stop them from getting any bigger is something that can allow you to keep in that red lane.
Exactly.
Keep fucking pushing it.
Exactly. Keep that consistency. Like, we were talking about it before, like when we first got like started with each other. It's not something like, you're not going to treat me so that I can start training more and then just stay as injured as I was before. Do you know what I mean? Like, that would just be detrimental. Like, there would be no point in it. You're allowing me to kind of remain consistent, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Without having these like extra injuries. Do you know what I mean?
So sick. So sick. some of because the lower back injury, the little niggle.
Bastard,
it's crazy how obviously I just had to dig into the depths of my brains to try and calculate what the fuck was going on. But it's just so cool to note that, like, being an elite level athlete and being at the top level, or even being at the top level of your own game, whether you're just an everyday athlete, you want to implement things that will keep you on that level. Whereas if you didn't, the risk of injury, you're injured, trough, all this lost potential because you're not giving yourself the shit you deserve because of how much you're pushing yourself. One last question for Sean, right? Are you going to say something there?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, you see a lot of, like, the older fighters and stuff like that, they've always got, like, recurring injuries. Like, Stevie Ray's got, like, chronic knee pain. Like, he can sometimes not even walk upstairs properly and stuff like that. Like, he is always in pain. His knees are always in pain. And I think it's preventing any, like, small niggles and stuff like that, small injuries turning into something serious like that. Do you know what I mean? So I do genuinely think it is really important to stay on top of things like that and stay on top of, like, your S&C and stay on top of, like physio and stuff like that. I think it's so important nowadays because you don't want to be one of these, you want to have longevity because that is what separates a lot of the greatest of all time. Do you know what I mean? That's one of the reasons that people don't see Khabib as the GOAT, which I think is kind of mad how you can't include him, at least in the situation. That's why people don't see that, is because he's not had that longevity. You get people like John Jones who've had that longevity, like George St. Pierre, fucking all these different guys have had that longevity. And in order to have that longevity, you need to be staying on top of these niggles, otherwise they will turn into a bigger, darker kind of like area. Do you know what I mean?
100%. More life, baby. So if you were, say for example, we brought 15-year-old Sean into the room, right? And he was to just say, like, I'm going to be going on this journey, right? Like, what's kind of one thing that you could give me to go forward with that's going to benefit me?
Oh, deep ass questions, bro. These are questions that I feel like I actually need some time to think about. Like,
but whatever answer comes to you intuitively right now is authentically what you would tell.
Again, it would probably be a lot to do with what we were talking about, like anxiety and stuff like that was something that I really struggled with. It would probably be giving him the kind of advice that we were talking about, like the advice that we were talking about just there. We'd probably be speaking on stuff like that, try and get in depth with him about things like that. Like, just kind of let go, because I used to obviously training super hard is something that, like, you need to have a wee bit of that fucking spunk about you. Do you know what I mean? You need to be able to, like, do you know what I mean? But
spunk,
it's just
I know you. I know you're talking. I felt it, but my logical brain just said spunk. I just spunk everywhere. That fucking kind of X factor.
I think that kind of mentality in my head also held back some of, like, my, like, even just technical aspects and stuff like that. Like, see if you allow your room time to play. Like, if I'm playing when I'm training, like, if I'm playing, like, striking and stuff like that, I'm going to improve a lot faster. Whereas if I'm just like, no, that's shit, like, you're going to be so hard on yourself, you're going to tense up, you're going to seize up, you're not going to be as flowy. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if I'm allowing myself, not every training session, like, some training sessions you need that. Like, I've got a wee bit of that, like, madness in me still, so you need it in order to be a fighter. But it's a happy balance, and there's, like, a discipline in itself, being able to turn it on and turn it off. Do you know what I mean? So when I'm, say for instance, doing pads, you need to be able to play, enjoy yourself. There's nothing wrong with enjoying yourself. I used to think because I was enjoying myself, I wasn't working hard enough, and that's not true. See, if you're enjoying yourself, like striking and stuff like that, you're going to improve so much faster. Like, you don't need to just be like you don't need to be like that all the time. You don't need to be firing on all cylinders all the time. You need to be able to turn it off and on.
So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what you'd potentially say to a younger version of yourself, if it was just like a sentence, it would maybe be along the lines of the anxiety you're going to be feeling, it's not you, detach yourself from it, control the controllable. And also, when you're going into fights or going into training, don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Try to treat life as a continuous learning curve. Yeah.
Have certain sessions where you're able to have fun, because you will improve faster. Like, if I went to, like, Stephen, this is actually a philosophy I kind of got off of, like, my younger brother Stephen. He wasn't completely aware of it, but I sit and dissect people so much, like, just trying to be the best. Like, and something that I noticed off of him was, like, it almost looked like he couldn't even be bothered. Like, he was just so relaxed, and he was just hitting pads, and I'm like, he's so technical and he's not even trying. That's not fair. And I'm like, well, why don't you try that? Tried it. I would just kind of relax. I tried like a good couple of months just doing that, just to see if I got any better, and it just, my technique literally just shot right up, and I'm just like, I should have been doing this so long ago. Do you know what I mean? Just being less hard on yourself, allow yourself to have fun in some sessions, because it's going to allow you to be more consistent as well.
100%. Yeah, definitely. And would you say as well, obviously today I literally got authenticity tattooed on my arm, right? But would you say that creative side to you allows you to be more yourself? It allows you to be more authentic rather than trying to put like a label on yourself, like I need to train hard to be that kind of, rather than just finding yourself.
It was something that I, again, kind of struggled with a wee bit growing up. Like, I never kind of knew who I was. I was always a very nervous guy. I would always try and get people to like me and stuff like that. And then as soon as I kind of let go of it, I stopped caring. People started liking me more, and I started making more friends and stuff like that. People wanted to actually like hear what I had to say. Like I seemed more interesting. As I've got older and I've became a lot more confident, I've kind of grew into myself a wee bit. Obviously, you're a kid, like most people are like that, and you just don't know about it. Like I thought I was just weird for it, but nah, it's becoming confident and stuff like that's definitely helped with authenticity. Yeah, I'm a lot more authentic than I was when I was younger.
Sick, so sick.
It's cool how you need to look at fighting as a career though at the same time.
Yeah,
passion, all that, but it's like there's a business aspect to this completely. So some collaborations you're doing are like the coffee line. Like tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, like I've started working with this brand called Coffee Roaster Scotland. It's like a coffee van like up in my area. We've started releasing like a brand of my own coffee, which is called Battle Blend. Which I'm actually pretty chuffed for it. It's the first wee like kind of business venture I've ever actually explored. So I'm really excited for it. Gonna show me a wee bit of like, as a fighter, you need to be thinking about after and stuff like that. You can't just think, oh, I am fighting, then that's it. Like there is a life after, and you need to like kind of be smart with it. So it's something I'm really excited about to kind of try and learn more about and stuff like that. Yeah. So Coffee Roaster Scotland, give them a little look.
Come on, that's it. What is it? The saying in it? Fight the good fight.
Fight the good fight. Yeah,
Come on.
That was somebody called Ryan at Fanboy. Fanboy sorts a lot of my stuff out. He's a heavy cool guy. The logo on my coffee brand was actually Ryan at Fanboy that sorted that logo.
What was the flavour called?
It was I'm trying to think of what the notes were.
What's the undertones?
I can't remember the undertones. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's like like
out of 5.
What was that?
Out of 5.
Out of 5.
How good is it?
Oh, 5, 6, bro.
6.
It's like it's kind of branded as like a pre-workout kind of thing. It's a very, very, very high caffeine content. So obviously, like as a new dad, you've got no sleep. I never liked coffee 6 months ago, and it's something I literally rely on now. Like I need coffee, otherwise it's like I'm not going to perform as well. So collabing with them is very. It's something that's actually very important, if you know what I mean, to me. So it's something I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah, that's so sick. That is so sick. Sorted, well, obviously this has been fucking class. We're going to have to get you on again as you grow as a fucking fighter. But is there anything that you want to leave it on yourself? Anything you want to shout out? Anything like that?
I've got a bunch of sponsors and stuff like that. Is it alright if we like link them into this?
100%. 100%.
I'm not gonna like say them because I always forget somebody, but it's all right if we like put them up at the end or something.
100%,
like that,
bro.
Because if it wasn't for those guys, I would not be able to train as hard and consistently as I would like to. I would need to fucking pick up a job or something like that.
Get them up if you got them on your phone, bro.
Sorry, see if we
can we'll edit all in.
Something like that. Yeah, I appreciate it, bro.
Get in touch with Sean Clancy Jr. if you want your business to be on the fucking billboards, mate. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you want
pass and stuff like that, yeah.
The exposure you're gonna get, UFC XYZ, it's a fucking no-brainer.
You need to make if you're.
And it's not even that. We're sitting literally talking to someone that I was saying to you in the car. You're a fucking specimen, bro. So it's like you see these people that rise to the top pure quickly, and then they fall off. Like Paddy Pimlet, kinda like quick rise, falling off a little bit. But he's like just the average fighter, got character. Genetically, you're a fucking monster, bro, and it's fucking. I'm so honored to even know you, bro. It's gonna be so sick to see you fucking smash it. But yeah, until the fucking next one, guys. We'll see you soon.